Alrighty, guys. Make sure I got the right mic selected here. One moment. There we go. All right. So, you guys been watching what happened today? Yeah, today Atlas Shrugged, or Atlas as it's now being called, as well as Nothin, were supposed to be released today from Guns N' Roses. The thing that I said early on, whenever this was announced, one of the first things that I said, watch them go and botch this. Watch it happen. What ended up happening? Exactly what we said was probably going to be what happened. Great to see Jack Plum over here. Great to see you. He says, hey, man, it's great to see you there. And so a lot of people have had questions. Here's something that I have been told. I don't know the authenticity of this. Okay. Just something that I've been told. Apparently, there was something wrong with the cover art. Whether it wasn't up to snuff or something like that. You guys remember what happened with the release of Perhaps and the General, the physical release, as well as the digital release. They both got bumped. And when the General was supposed to be released on the little record single pressing, well, that ended up getting bumped as well. That was also going to include Perhaps. And it did, and it came out a couple of months later. Well, this is kind of what this band has been known for. We've known this for about a good 25 years. A little bit more than that. Remember, Chinese Democracy was supposed to be released in 1999. Did it happen? No. Nope. Didn't happen until 2007. The same thing happened with Perhaps. The same thing ended up happening with the General. So, it was announced 10 days ago that on December the 2nd, Atlas and Nothing were going to be released. 2 singles from Guns N' Roses. I ended up waking up at like 1:30 in the morning saying, I better go and check this. This is how dedicated I am to this stuff for you guys. I was willing to wake up at 1:30 in the morning to check to see that if it hit my Apple Music. And then I was going to go and get dressed, go into my studio. I'm outside right now, not in the studio. I decided to be a little lazy today. But I was going to go in the studio and I was going to go on Rumble and give you guys my authentic take on it, hearing it for the first time. Wasn't there. I was like, okay. The thing that I've noticed whenever it is that I've gone and put out music, sometimes it drops around 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Now, with these big labels like Universal, you would think, it's the midnight release. That's what always happens. The midnight release. And so I was like, okay, this is a little bit out of the ordinary. Got up, got ready to go to work, checked my Apple Music again. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go and check the Discord. I'm going to go and check my GNR forum. I'm going to check all these places here. And some people were saying, well, tickets go on sale for the new tour at 10 o'clock. So many people were saying that chances are it will be put out at 10 o'clock. And it's like, okay, that's kind of odd, but okay, it kind of makes sense. All right, I'll go with that. Didn't happen. Some people then started saying, well, probably noon. I'm sitting over there going, no, they botched this whole thing. And then Universal Music Japan ended up putting out a tweet that they later took down, says that the release has been delayed. Do we expect anything else from this band? I mean, seriously, do we expect anything else from this band? It's always going to be delayed. That's always what happens. So I was not in any way surprised. There is A couple of things that I will give the band a little bit of leeway with this on, okay? Because you guys know me. My analysis over here is always totally objective. That's what it is that we try and do. Some have said, maybe they said the second, maybe they bet the fifth. I always remember when I was younger, new releases would always come out on Tuesday. Well, that has changed the past 15 years. All of the releases from every major artist, as well as Guns N' Roses, have been released on Friday. Okay? That's something that has changed for the past 15 years or so, that majority of releases come out on Friday. Possibility. There was a report from Appetite for Distortion that said that they heard from one of their radio guys that it has been pulled. It's never been played on the radio yet, but before they were getting ready to do it, it got pulled. Don't know the reason why. I have a feeling I know what it is that the excuse is going to be. Oh, just the quality wasn't there. Just like they did with the physical release of the General, and perhaps the dual single that they were going to release on the little record. That's probably what's going to end up happening. The band has not said anything. They've gone and kept that tweet stating tickets go on sale 10 o'clock on December 2nd, as well as on December 2nd, you're going to get Nothin and Atlas. You're going to get those two songs. This is something that we've been gearing up for quite a while. You guys remember when Axl ended up saying, I'm just waiting on the marketing plan that we heard from the IEM recordings. This is how dedicated we are over here. Some people in the MyGNR forum were mentioning, well, maybe something, they forgot to upload the thing. Problem with that. Here's the problem with that. We ended up getting a pre-save thing. We ended up getting a link to pre-save the song on things like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. I think Deezer was on the list and all that stuff. So in order for that to happen, the songs have to be uploaded. They have to be ready and raring to go. If they needed to change some artwork or if they had to have another mix, maybe something ended up happening there. But when you get that link, that pre-save link, okay, I'm going to show you everything that you have to have done in order to make that happen. Okay? So, let me go and pull this up over here. I got my DistroKid account. DistroKid is what I use to upload all my music. Okay? Here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to go through this process. We're going to upload one song. Has this been previously released? No. Band artist Kyoto report. That's some of the AI music that we do. Some of the funny AI music. It's saying, do you want it here? Do you want it here? Do you want it here? Yeah, we want it in all those places. Release date. We're going to set the release date for Friday. Okay, how's that sound? We'll set it for Friday, 12 a.m. And, on Spotify, they want the actual time that it's going to be released. We'll let people pre-order it. Okay, so you got the pre-order start date. They went through the same thing. Here. Let's go and choose a genre here. Going to go to rock. Secondary genre, I don't know. Well, let me put rock in there twice. No, apparently so. Now we need an album cover. Do we have an album cover for the thing? Yeah, I think we do. Oops. The file's too big, so what I got to do is I got to go and open that image file. I go and I make these things in PNGs and save them so that they are really good quality. And so we're going to take this down to a JPEG to where it's 7.7 megabytes. All right. We're going to go and do that. All right. So it should have gone and exported it now. Yeah, there we go. Kyoto Report, Fernando. Song title, Fernando. Well, any featured artists on here? No. Is it a special version? No. We go and we upload our audio file. I'm going to do the MP3 because it's a little better quality than the other one that we have. You're uploading an MP3. Yeah, I know. Okay. So I go and I put my name in here. Boom. Explicit lyrics. Yeah. This song contains lyrics. Yes. Let the streaming decide what parts to highlight. We'll set this for 69 cents. You can add extra credits to Apple and all that stuff. We go and we select all these boxes. Boom, 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 boom. And we get this little thing over here showing the track's name is Fernando by the Kyoto Report. And we click continue. Oh, wait a minute. You must first choose a date that's within 5 days from now. Okay. So we got to choose a release date that's within 5 days from now. Oh, I got to put all this stuff in there. Well, I didn't perform anything. This is the Kyoto Report. This is a new thing that is needed by Apple. Because they want to make sure that all of this stuff is in here correctly. And so we got to set this out for at least 5 days out, it says. So we got to go back up over here. Okay, so well, let's just gonna put it out. Let's try this again. Choose that is at least 5 days from now. Yes. Okay, so we got to fix whatever the hell is going on here. Oh, there we go. Now we're starting to get extra options. Okay, we're going to set it for Tuesday there on the 9th. All right, there we go. It's uploading the artwork, it's uploading the track, all that. And it says, and if that finished sound, enhance your music, you can go and do all that stuff. You could choose to do any of those things. And so, after I click off of here, use my original, I'm going to select one of the things here. After I do this, it takes you in whatever thing that it is that you've uploaded. And it says, that you can go and start sharing this. You could promote the new album. You get a hypercopy link. And like one of the things I'll do is I'll go and stick this in the chat right here. And you can see that's basically what they got there, is that same thing. That's the hyperlink to go and pre-save the song or the album, whatever it is. So they've gone through that process because they have gotten a link similar to this. So something has happened in between that time. Another possibility is the copyright number. There might have been some goofiness that happened because there's a copyright that was issued on the demos, and those numbers may have gotten switched, which caused some problems with it going to places like Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. That is definitely a possibility. Another possibility is what it is that somebody had told me, that there was something wrong with the cover art, and that's the problem. Jack says, fully doubt Isaac is on the two songs. Probably Brain, huh? Yep, probably so. Probably either Brain or Josh Freese, one of the two. I think we've been seeing those guys on the releases that we've been getting. The other four that we have gotten, Hard School, Absurd, perhaps in the general, have been either Freeze or um, Brain. And the thing is that with that, the drum parts are the hardest thing to go and replace. And the thing is that if you're doing something like this that's not really being hyped, what's the reason in going and replacing the drums? You know? So, but yeah, so, because you won't be getting this on today like you were supposed to, you guys are going to be getting Fernando from the Kyoto Report, December 9th at 12 a.m. Because, let me go and bring that up here because it gives you the release date and the time, all that stuff, whenever it is that you go and put, get those things set up for release. You cannot tell me that Universal Music is not using something maybe a little bit more advanced than DistroKid to go and put out their music, and that there's less issues that can happen when they do it as opposed to when I do it through a DistroKid account. So I'd be interested to hear what it is that you guys think about this release, and the screw up of this release. Do you think that we're going to end up getting it leaked? I've been asked that question. I say there's a 50-50 chance on that. There's a 50-50 chance that it will be leaked before it happened, because you remember what happened with the release of Perhaps as well as the General, when when those ended up getting pushed. We ended up getting a link from a nice individual by the name of I Was There For You. If that person's still in the organization, they may be a little bit pissed off. They may end up doing the same thing. Who knows? Jack says, part of me wishes they just bundled together Absurd, Hard School, Perhaps, the General, and Atlas, and Nothin, and a few others to hold us over like Lies did in 1988. Yeah, and I think that a lot of the times, and this is kind of a subconscious thing, many of us, when things are released as singles, especially when a bunch of singles are released over a span of time, it's like they almost don't feel totally official unless there's an album title with them, And so I get where you're coming from there. And yeah, go and take all those things, bundle them together. We know that Monsters is done. We've gotten reports that there's a lot of stuff done. And considering how many singles they have put out since being told that, I'm wondering to myself, are those going to be included in a full release, or are they just kind of there, like you said, to hold us over? I don't know. Everything changes with this band. You cannot predict anything. You cannot hold them to their word. And it's one of those things that is so incredibly frustrating for those of us who are fans of this band. 100%. So, that's my take. And I've said this on the show before, that we were told by somebody on the inside that there are 5 new songs that have been recorded. There are also 5 re-recordings of stuff from that was supposed to be on Chinese Democracy 2 that have been completed, and that there were 3 covers, and one of which was Benny and the Jets. We had reported on that. And that was something that was supposed to be released a couple of years back. Since that time, we've gotten stuff that, was it to be included on that package? Or is this stuff that's totally separate? I don't know. So I don't know. These are things that really kind of throw a wrench into a lot of those things. Axel was just complaining the other day. The record company had no marketing plan for the release, and he seemed to be pissed off about it. I didn't hear anything about Axel talking about it the other day. I do remember that he did say it in the IEM recordings, probably about 7 months ago when they were playing in Japan. I did hear that, but Dave, where is it that we can find information on this? Because that's not something that I've heard or seen. I've not seen it brought up in the Leaks and Roses Discord. I have not seen it being brought up in the MyGNR forum or anything. So if this is something that kind of fell under the radar, I don't think that with a lot of those guys, anything really gets past them in terms of any sort of statements or interviews of the sort. Axel, him going and doing an interview, for instance, that's kind of an event, so I don't know. Dave says, I will look where I saw it and get back to you. Yeah, there's also been a lot of false quotes being put out there. Like there was one thing that people were saying was on the Guns N' Roses Twitter today, saying that there was an issue they were going to try and have resolved today, and I ended up immediately going to their X account, their Twitter, ended up immediately going over there, and that quote is not there. So there are a lot of trolls out there. So make a point to verify everything. Jack says, wonder if the band will edit the December 2nd date on their post regarding the delay, or just never address it, dropping it whenever. That's a good question. That is a very good question. I would think the best way to do it would be to not edit it, because that seems to be kind of a dishonest tactic. Oh, what are you talking about the second? We said the fifth. I think the best thing is to say, okay, you know what? Either we put out the wrong date for this, or whatever the situation is, saying something has arisen. We are going to try and get this to you within the next week. We're going to try and get this to you in the next couple of days, or this has been postponed, and we'll let you know. The band needs to make some sort of statement. They need to do something. I don't think editing the post is the right way to go about. Maybe unpinning it is definitely the way to go, and maybe doing an updated version of said post. Maybe. I like it when people take an honest route on these type of things, but that's just me. But yeah, guys, that's all we got for you here today. And just know, as soon as these things do get out there, um, we will be addressing it ASAP. They publicly addressed the incident when Axel had his fit kicking Isaac's drum kit due to the sound. If they publicly promised a release date, I'd hope for an explanation. Absolutely. I agree. I agree. And apparently, from what I've been told, is on their Instagram, they are deleting comments of people asking about this. And that's just not the right way to go. That is not the right way to go. Oh, you're right. It was 6 months ago in Japan. Where, yeah. It's okay. I know a lot of this stuff kind of gets jumbled up at times, because a lot of people will go and reference it and all that, and in context of talking about these things. Yeah, it was on stage right before, perhaps, as a matter of fact. He says in the IEM, he says we're going to play the two new songs, but I haven't received a marketing plan yet. And it still doesn't seem that there's a marketing plan. So I don't know if the band's dropping the ball. I don't know if management is dropping the ball, or if Universal Music is dropping the ball. We don't know. There's a lot of questions. And, these are questions that I think is kind of genius in terms of publicity, because they're not giving us answers, causing the rest of us to speculate, which helps out people like me on various places, because we try and fill in the blanks. Doesn't mean we're always right, but we're trying to make an attempt to fill in the blanks, because Axel, Duff, Slash, all those guys are not saying a damn thing. So, we almost seem like we're supposed to be, the earpiece and trying to help figure these things out. And I think we've gotten things right over here rather often. I'd say about 75% of the time, whenever it is that we've said, this is what's gonna happen, this was gonna happen at this time. We've been rather right on. We've been wrong on some stuff as well. So um it seems all their new stuff is just Chinese democracy reworks. Yeah, it is, but the thing is, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing because the we got the locker leaks. They're a part of something that should be a part of Guns N' Roses canon. Okay. Um, but yet, until they're officially released, we're not going to hear them live. We're not going to see them on an official release or anything of the sort. We got them through the locker leaks. You know, we want to see these things in their final form. I think perhaps was 100 times better in its final form. And I love Atlas already, but I'm sitting over there going, I really want to see that in final form. I think many of you guys are the same way. And if you spent that much time writing all these songs, demoing them, recording them, and all that stuff to just kind of throw them away, that's something that is hard for a musician to just walk away from, especially when they haven't written anything new in a very long period of time. You're saying, let's go and put this chapter to bed before it is that we worry about other stuff. Because I spent 20 years of my life trying to do this. I don't want it to go to waste, especially at their age. So, I think we need to look at that in the right way. Jack says, imagine this Chinese Democracy 2 in 2028 for the 20th anniversary, complete with rework singles. That could be, or it could be of the 10-year or the 20-year anniversary of the deluxe edition that includes those. Who knows? Then moving on fully to new material. Even so, I don't have patience for 2028. Me neither, man. As we're getting older, man, I'm telling you, man, now that I'm in my mid 40s, it's like, am I going to live to see the rest of this stuff? Of course I will, but it's one of those things that you just have in the back of your mind, because as you get older, everybody around you starts dying. Um, Dave says that is true. I understand that considering that many of you guys have heard a lot of this stuff before, you're sitting up there going, I want something actually brand new. And we got that with the general. It was horrible, but we got that with the general. We got that with the leak of monsters. So those things are always going to be in there because those locker leaks were some of the early demos and recordings from, the early 2000s. There was a lot of stuff that was recorded since that time that we haven't heard demos or full versions of. So, there's going to be a lot of that stuff out there as well. There's going to be a lot of that. So, we got to think of this in the way of looking past ourselves. We got to say, okay, if you were the guy writing these songs, you were the guy putting them out there, you're not just going to shelve them and say, let's move on to new stuff and just totally shelve it. There is a song that Clapton did with Phil Collins right before he did Forever Man. That thing is gaining some buzz. And I think it's getting ready to be released. As a matter of fact, that they did in the 80s, and that's something that was like 40 years ago. Clapton has still not been able to move on from it. And let's be honest, we like that stuff. We like that stuff. We like that we got Shadow of Your Love, now part of Guns N' Roses canon. We like that now. So, but guys, that's all I got for you here today. Thank you everybody who was showing up in the chat. I want to wish you all shalom bracha, peace and a blessing. Oh, and by the way, here soon we are going to be approved. Have we been approved yet for the Rumble Creator Program? And I'll tell you, that doesn't mean much to you guys, but I'll tell you, for me, that means a lot, especially after going and getting, the boot from YouTube. I am not seeing an email yet. They usually say, about 48 hours. We applied yesterday, and I am really, really looking forward to that. So, all right. Shalom bracha. Peace and a blessing. Shalom.